We'll do a bunch of stuff. I love that tune.
Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. It still works. Okay, good. Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am the Field, also known as Field Bears, here to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. So I am a little bit hectic at the moment. So I'm gonna wait for my kettle to finish. Going to wait for my kettle to finish. And we've got an interesting monologue today. I've actually written a monologue for the first time in quite a while. So I'm very pleased about that. That'll be going up on the blog later as well. What's going on here? Excellent. Okay, so okay. Please bear with me for a moment. I will be getting my tea. I need my tea. Alright, there we go. I'm going to let that brew for a minute. Welcome, hey, Eric Nimmer. You can see I'm not wearing a wrinkly undershirt like somebody I know. Somebody I know who likes to wear wrinkly undershirts. Okay. Alright, welcome to Field Talk. Now before we get started, I would like to remind you all that in the link in the description you can find a link to this mug, this very handsome mug, which is superior in every way to Pinder's ugly mug. Get your very own handsome mug and be the envy of all of your Jewish friends. as well as some non-Jewish friends that you may or may not have. Now, before we get started, I have an announcement to make. There will be a bear wedding in the near future. Killswitch Bear has proposed to her man, and he said yes. I'm unsure of who was on their knees in this exchange, or how it went, but I do know that they are going to face the world and build a family together. Congratulations and Godspeed. Now, on consent and consistency. It is fairly obvious that our interpersonal relationships are, or at least ought to be, based on consent. In fact, if there's a breach of consent, even in the smallest ways, most of us have a rather visceral reaction. Think of a stranger pinching your shoulder in a crowd. Escalation is nigh inevitable. And at the very least, an apology will be demanded. I really should have printed this. The resolution increases with severity as the severity of the breach also increases. And the more wrong the aggressor is perceived to be, the more retribution will be demanded by the aggressee. I think it's obvious and correct, such that I fail to understand a system of ethics that functions differently from this. It would seem that most of the West agrees with me, or at least they say they do, because the penal systems operate on some pivotal concepts, such as the presumption of innocence, the standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, habeas corpus, and impartial adjudication. To name a few. Basically, the fact that these concepts in our society exist is prima facie proof that consent is highly valuable to us because we want to be sure to be accurate in the censure of those who violate it. Natural marriage is gay, you say, Eric. It's literally the opposite of gay, but okay. Apparently all women are gay, according to Eric Nimmer. Hashtag all women are gay, Eric Nimmer, 2018. When you think on it, all crime is a violation of consent. Theft is the appropriation of somebody's property without consent. Fraud is the use of lies to manufacture consent that would be withheld in the light of the truth. Trespassing is the use or occupation of somebody's property without consent. Rape is carnal knowledge of another person without consent, and murder is taking another person's life without consent. When it comes to suicide, the question is, who owns your life? Whether that is a violation of consent or not, I have my own view on that front, but that is for another time. Our instinct is to attempt to balance things out when consent is violated. That's why Lady Justice carries a set of scales. We feel like the victim of crime is owed something. That something is often retribution, which is why Lady Justice also carries a sword. Murder, theft, rape, fraud, all of these things are universally accepted as bad, right? Well, no. We are not quite consistent in our application of moral standards here in the West. In the first place, we say that political power is derived from the consent of the governed. But what happens when an individual does not consent? Is a person's birth within particular borders considered consent? Even God doesn't think that birth within his church to be consent on its own. The state claims to stand above in that regard, such that you are subject to its jurisdiction by virtue of your birth. If you wanted a better state, you ought to have been born someplace else. So here's the next bit. Taxation is theft. Debbie, I don't know. Why? Okay, it says I'm still here. I'm sure you would love to hand with Nimmer, History Bear. I'm sure you would love that. Yeah, it looks like I'm still here. Taxation is theft. Or was I? Where's my taxation is theft? Stand ready, want to want someplace else? Somebody else's. Theft is the appropriation of somebody else's property without their consent, often with the use of force or threat of force. Just try not paying taxes and see what happens. Go on, I dare you. The SWAT team busting down your door to cart your dangerous behind off to court will make a lie of the platitude that taxes are voluntary, that they are the price paid for government services and living in a civilized society. If taxes were voluntary, then it would be an option to live as an outlaw and pay a bill if you find yourself in need of government services. So, my dudes, what do you think? What do you say about consent? And try refreshing it, Debbie. Okay, my box is green. Okay, this is very strange. It says my YouTube isn't working. Okay, it's not my internet. It's not my internet, guys. I think YouTube just died. Fantastic. Oh. If you guys can still hear me, I think that YouTube just died a little bit. Let's see what happened. Yeah, if you guys can still hear me, YouTube has just died. Fucking hell.